Welcome to IFA.TV. Meowch! Once again, the stock picking prize goes to an animal. Orlando, the stock picking kitty, follows in the success of Lucia, the Russian circus chimp, to once again defeat professional human stock pickers. The news certainly comes as no surprise to industry giant Burton Malkiel, who back in his 1973 book, A Random Walk Down Wall Street, likened a stock picking professional to a blindfolded monkey, with Malkiel claiming that the stock picking professional would come off second best. But before you head to your local zoo or animal shelter to spot the next winning fund manager, let's dig into what these lessons really say about the stock picking success. Oh, we need to interrupt you here before we read it.
Excuse me.
We can get on with the program. But this is, the reason we bring this up, half tongue-in-cheek, is for the following, because most of you, about 4/5 of the equity money that's managed around the world today is managed actively. That is, you are picking someone to pick the right stocks. You are picking someone to buy the sectors, all that sort of thing. When the evidence clearly shows that building a passive portfolio, you'd be better off in the long term.
And Tom, this is nothing new. 1973, during your intro there, I was just engrossed in reading this. I found this great little italicized section that says, no scientific evidence has yet been assembled to indicate that the investment performance of professionally managed portfolios as a group has been any better than that of randomly selected portfolios.
And we're going to get to randomness right now.
We're going to get right to this, and then later I want to talk about some of these books here.
Okay.
All about randomness, by the way. Okay? Well, today's program is about the story of two unconventional stock pickers that were up against the professionals. The first one was a kitty named Orlando.
Right.
And the kitty was given some little toy mice, threw those up at a little grid, and depending what number they landed on, there was a correlation of stocks there. This little experiment was carried out by the UK Observer over in London.
And the kitty was compared to managers and high school students,
Three
right?
professional managers and a handful of high school students. They kind of let them all sort of participate in this experiment. They were given $5,000 in capital, and they said, pick 5 stocks, basically. And so they all did this, and in each quarter, they had a choice. Should I keep those stocks, or should I trade them out and get some other ones, right? By year end, they tallied up the results of Orlando, tallied up the results of the professional, and it's quite amazing what ended up happening. The kitty ended up at 10.85% return for their 5 stocks, while the professionals ended up with a measly 3.53%.
As we said at the outset, meowch.
Meowch.
Yes, it hurts.
Now what's interesting about that is the 10.5% ballpark is a number that's often quoted for the stock market returns over some very long periods of time. It's more like 9.5 actually. And then the 3.5% is pretty close to what we see the average investor in equity mutual funds earn, mostly because they move in and out of these funds at the most inopportune time. And on average, they do very poorly. So professionals were literally trounced by the kitty. Now, there was another experiment done back in 2010 by the UK Daily's Mail. I don't know why all these experiments are being done in London. I don't know what's going on there, but I guess even Malkiel.
Right, okay. And this is a Russian chimp, too.
And this one was Lucia, the scooter-riding circus chimp, right? So Lucia was asked to pick some stocks based on some designation on some blocks. Picked a block here and there, and then those were tied to certain stocks. And she was put up against the Russian mutual fund industry. They tallied up the results, and it turned out that Lucia beat 94%.
Wait a minute. What you're telling me here is a circus chimp randomly using blocks to pick stocks beat 94% of the professional managers.
94%.
Got that right. Okay.
Yep,
All
in
right.
Russia.
And by the way, here's the quote from the Russian media.
What'd they say?
It gets better. It says, Lucia made all serious analysts look like clowns. And so when the circus chimp is calling you a clown, that is not a good thing.
So that can't be good, right?
No.
So, this is all supported by many different books that have told the story of stock market randomness. I mean, right here in the back of the 1973 first edition of Burton Malkiel's famous book, A Random Walk Down Wall Street, He asked the question, can a blindfolded chimpanzee with a dart and a list of stocks beat the Wall Street pros at their own game? We've just shown that that's the case.
Yep.
And the answer is yes, right?
Sorry about that.
Sorry about that. He also talks about what the random walk is and a lot of great stuff in here. This book is now in its 10th edition. We have the 10th edition down here.
By the way, anyone who thinks they're a stock picker should be reading that book because they're going to get an education. There you go.
1.5 million copies.
Wow.
Very good book. In fact, when we have prospective clients come in and talk to us, and they tell us that they've read this book, I know my job's going to be a lot easier.
They
right?
already know how things work.
But this isn't the only book that talked about randomness.
Turns out we have more, surprisingly enough.
We climbed up on the ladder
Yeah.
and went into the IFA library.
Shocking as that may
we
be.
found a whole bunch of them. This is one of my favorite. Paul H. Kutner did a collection of academic papers, and he bound those all together and called it The Random Character of Stock Market Prices. You're going to be reading this tonight.
Let me put that away for
quiz in the
safekeeping.
morning.
Yeah, because you never know when you might need it.
One of the papers in there actually is, I got a little printout of this one.
Hopefully that'd be forgotten under the desk there, but yes, go on.
This is Nobel laureate Paul Samuelson, wrote a paper way back in 1965. This is nothing new. Hello.
Okay, and I know, by the way, we could go, because we have another 1,800 volumes
no,
here.
I got
know
more
we got
here.
a lot. That will be on a later program.
Fooled by randomness.
Yes, we'll go through some more of those in upcoming programs.
We'll
So
do them later.
the lesson learned
Maybe we'll give
is
you a little list.
the lesson learned is pick indexes or pay your fund manager in bananas. That's what I think the moral of today's story.
Good one.
Thank you for being part of IFA TV. For Mark, I'm Tom. We hope to see you again soon.